Hello and welcome to the Fin to the Woods podcast with me, Finian Hackett, and on this episode I am joined by a GSA grad from 2023 who has just finished playing Sandy in Greece for Royal Caribbean. She's docked, she's back, and ready to tell all. It's Lauren McLavy. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, you alright?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on to have a chat about your past kind of year on the seas.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You are the Jane McDonald of my life. So let's start off by just talking about what made you want to get into theatre. What was it? Who was it? Where was it that made you want to go into it as a career?
Okay, so I did ballet and dance when I was younger, but I didn't enjoy it at all, so I quit. And then I started doing karate, which I loved. But then I realised I kind of missed just the movement of it. So I started like dance again. And then I did a little amateur production of Les Mis, just in a little village hall somewhere. And I literally just fell in love with it all over again, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do.
And it set you off on that path.
Absolutely.
And so when kind of looking at drama schools and going to drama schools, did you have a set list of ones that you wanted to go to, or was it just, I'll apply for any? What was the setup there?
So I didn't really know where I wanted to go, so I went to all like the open days, and then as soon as I went to GSA, I knew, okay, that's where I want to go. I literally just loved it. And I just didn't get the feel of, like, I didn't like the feel really of anywhere else. Like, they're great schools, but I just didn't think I would fit in there. So then I auditioned at a couple, and I got the foundation course at GSA. And before I got that, I didn't really know anything about, like, foundation courses. I didn't really think I was going to do one, but then as soon as GSA offered me one, I thought, well, I'm going to do it, because then I want to get onto the degree in GSA, and luckily I did. So yeah.
Do you think doing the founder year set you up well for the full 3 years?
Oh, 100%. I think the foundation year was one of my favourite years ever.
Okay.
Like, it was just so much fun. And I just learned so much. And when I did the foundation year, I realised how I wasn't ready for the degree. So it really did set me up perfectly for it.
I mean, that is the point of them. It's good that it works, and that kind of is...
Yeah, exactly.
Because you never, like you said, you never know kind of... Especially if you don't know if that's necessarily what you want to do. Lots of people do foundry to kind of do it as a taster. But if you know that's what you want to do, you can just use it as a kind of training year.
Yeah, exactly. And like because obviously then I did 4 years of training, I thought, okay, this was enough. But if I'd only done 3 years, personally, I don't think that would have been enough for me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm so glad I did the 4 years.
Yeah, set you up very well.
Yeah.
So then,
definitely.
do you think that drama school prepped you for the right areas when going out to do your first job, or do you think it's quite hard to prep for the cruise ship life?
For cruise ship life, I think nothing can prepare you for that. I mean, I think GSA and drama school preps you for the auditions. Like, I felt fully prepared for when I was going in for the auditions, and like I felt like I knew what I was doing. And then like in the rehearsal room, I felt like I had learnt enough to be a professional and know what I was doing. But yeah, I don't think anything can really prepare you for cruising.
No, and I think you can't prepare for something like that because it's such a different way of life. So we'll get onto that in a second. But it's a completely kind of crazy way to do a show. It baffles me. So when you were auditioning for Greece and for the cruise, did you really want it? Was it something that you were kind of like had your eyes set on, or was it just kind of, did it just kind of happen?
So honestly, when I graduated from drama school and everything, I said I was never ever gonna do a cruise because I'm just such like a home person, and I just didn't want to be away from home for that long. But then I actually put myself up for it. So I saw it on Spotlight, and I just submitted myself while I was still at GSA. And honestly, at the beginning, it was just for audition experience. I just thought I'll get myself into as many rooms as possible. Because at this point as well, I hadn't signed with my agent.
Oh, okay.
So I put myself up for it. And then I got a self-tape, so I did like the self-tape, and then I got called into the room, and then I got to the final, and I was like, right. I was like, I still don't know if I would do this. And then I got the offer, and I thought, oh God, maybe I will do it. But I kind of, as soon as I got the offer, I thought, I can't really turn it down. It just sounded too good of an experience. So it went from never ever doing one to being my first job. So
But that's just sometimes the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Because as you say, it's just completely dependent on what's auditioning at what time and whatever that might be.
Exactly.
But it's crazy. It's so
Yeah.
kind of on a knife edge about where your career's going to go at any point.
yeah, I thought if I'm ever gonna do it, it's gonna be now. So I just did
Yeah,
it.
get out of the way.
Yeah, literally.
But I was there when you got the phone call, I think, because we were in the middle of Crybaby rehearsals, and
Yes.
you just found out at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
Yeah, we just finished rehearsals that day, and then I got the email, and I just looked at it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what do I do now?
And then everyone was screaming, and then everyone was going, what's going on? I was like, Lauren's booked a job. I was like, can't tell anyone.
Honestly, it was. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what to think or feel. But it was an amazing feeling, though. Booking your first job's an amazing feeling. So.
Yeah, and also nice to be around all your course mates when you find out that news a little bit.
Yeah,
because
no,
you
it was
have that
lovely.
support from everyone.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
Yeah.
It was a nice way to find out.
So then, when did you start rehearsals? It was about a year and a bit ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I went to Miami August 17th.
Wow.
And then we literally started rehearsals the next day. So I was very tired. But, so yeah, then we rehearsed for 2 months in Miami. And then I got on the ship in October.
Oh, wow.
And then left the next August.
That's crazy.
So,
Oh, it kind of cruise ships, but I've never done a cruise ship. Like I've never had any desire to, because I think I'd absolutely hate every second of it. But it's just always been something that's really intrigued me about that kind of the process of the whole going out to Miami and then having to do. It's just, it blows my mind, because rehearsing in Florida must be very different to rehearsing in Surrey. Do you know what I mean? There must be quite a big difference.
yeah, it was so hot. Like, I've never felt heat like it.
God.
And it was also like the rainy season when I went. So the storms, I've never seen storms like it. And also it was quite weird during rehearsals, because even though I played Sandy, I wasn't really in rehearsals that much, because a lot of what I did like by myself on stage. So I wasn't really in any of the big scenes or the big numbers with like lots of people in them. So I did struggle, because also it was completely new and I was like by myself. And so rehearsals were a really strange time.
Yeah,
to be honest.
because you don't have that support group that you've been used to for the last 3 years around you.
No.
So yeah,
And like a lot of people did know each other, and I literally didn't know anyone, and it was so weird.
it's like first day of school, isn't it? It's that whole kind of you don't know anyone there, and you've just got to get on with it.
I've never been so nervous.
I'm not surprised, and you're in a foreign country. Do you know what I mean? You're not at home.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It was
I'm not
terrifying.
surprised. But is the majority of the cast UK based?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was like 4 people from America, and then like 1 person from Australia. But other than that, literally everyone was from the UK, which was nice.
Yeah, it's nice. There's some similarities there. But
Yeah.
was there much difference between the way you'd been used to rehearsals running compared to how they ran for the show?
Not really. They were quite similar to when we rehearsed for the third year shows in GSA. I just wasn't really in that much. But opposed to GSA, I just went for a lovely walk and like sat by the pool when I wasn't needed. Whereas at GSA, I just have to stay inside because it was raining all the time.
Yeah.
But no, it was pretty similar.
Okay. How do you prepare, but how do you get ready to play such an iconic character like Sandy? Did you have to kind of remove yourself from Olivia Newton-John, or do you try and kind of emulate that a little bit when you're doing it?
Well, to be honest, I've watched Grease since I was younger, so I've always loved it. I've always loved the role of Sandy. Like, I knew one day I wanted to play her. But I never... Because the theatre show is quite different to the film anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's quite easy to not completely copy Olivia Newton-John. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I brought my own side to it. I feel like it's kind of impossible not to do some things.
Oh, 100%.
Like she would do. And I feel like the audience expect it as well. Mm-hmm. So, like, people go to see Grease and stuff, especially on cruise ships, because they love the film and they know the film.
Yeah.
So you still want to give the audience a little bit of what they know type thing.
Yeah. You can't take it too far out of the Grease world, otherwise people get annoyed. But but I get that though. It's like you have expectations when you go and see any show which is based on a film or whatever.
Exactly. You want to see things from it, don't you?
Yeah, you want to see certain moments and certain looks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the ship itself, how big was it? Like, what was it like? Just
So I was on Independence, which is actually a bit of a smaller ship than the others.
Okay.
So they had, I think it was around like 4,000 guests on it, and then about 1,000 crew. So compared to like the new ship, like the Icon, it's teeny. But I thought it was like the perfect first ship because even though it was still massive and it took me ages to like find my way around and stuff, it felt homier and it felt cozier when I got to know it, and it did feel like a little home, even though it's this massive ship. Like you do just get to know everything, and I feel like if you're on, I wouldn't have wanted to be on a really big ship for my first one.
What was it like being away from your family for such a prolonged period of time? Was it hard?
Yes, it was. At the start, I really, really struggled. And I thought, I've made this massive mistake doing this. Like, I was like, I just want to go home. It kind of got into like 2 weeks into it. And I thought, okay, well, I've kind of just got to get over myself because like I am doing this.
Yeah.
And like I'm doing it for a very long time. But yeah, I did really struggle, and my parents especially knew how much I struggled. So my dad actually came out while I was rehearsing for like a week, and we spent a week together because there's also like on ships there's the musical and then there's a production show.
Okay.
So within those 2 months in Miami rehearsing, they also rehearsed the production show, but I wasn't in that. I was just in Greece. So then I had like 3 weeks where I wasn't doing anything.
Oh, nice.
So my dad came out and we had like a little holiday together, which was really nice. And then I was so lucky with how like many of my family members did come out and see me. Like it was so much more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like my parents came out 3 times. I had my nans and granddads, my aunties and uncles. Like I was really lucky. So even though it was a really long time, I still saw them quite a lot. Like a lot more than I thought I was going to. So it was really hard at the beginning. And even all the way through, like you never stop missing them. You just kind of get used to it.
Yeah, it's like when you move away from home or move to uni. Initially, I think it's quite difficult, but then you just gradually kind of settle into it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
exactly. You spend so much time with the cast and everything that they become your family. So like it does get so much easier. But at the start it was hard. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And also like I guess having your family come and visit, you have those kind of points where you can look forward to seeing them. Exactly. I always had something to look forward to, which I think is so important when you're on something like a cruise ship, because time can become so mundane and you're doing the same things every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it is nice to have something to look forward to.
So talk me through what a typical day for you would have been on the ship.
Okay, so let's say it's a port day. We'll do a port day and sea day because they're different.
Okay.
So on a port day, on one of the days you'd have drill. So drill would start typically at like 9:30. We'd have drill at like once a week, so it wasn't too bad. So you do drill in the morning. That would last for about an hour and a half, and then I tried to get off most port days because otherwise you just go a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So you'd get off for the day, go have some nice food, go to the beach or something, and then typically all aboard for crew would be about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, so you'd have to be back on the ship at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of just chilled, really. There's not much to do. I try and go to the gym as much as possible, but even that gets a bit boring. We were allowed to go to dinner at 8 o'clock in the like guest area.
Okay.
So if you were staying in the crew area, you could go at any time, but the food wasn't the best. So I tried to use the guest area as much as possible. And you'd have to wear like smart casual, so we weren't allowed to wear like jeans at any time. And then one night cruise, it was like dress to impress, so we'd have to wear like dresses and heels and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I'd just go to dinner, and then we'd go for a walk after dinner, and then we kind of like watched a movie every night or went to back deck. So yeah, I tried to stay around people as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then on sea days, it was a lot different. So if we were doing the show on a sea day, I'd just go to the gym in the morning, and then we'd be called around like 4 for notes, and then we'd start warm up at 4:30. So on show days, you had less of your time to fill, because it is basically that you're just trying to find things to fill your time, basically.
Because I guess if you're doing a job in the West End or on tour or whatever, you'd be going to like do your shopping or do this or do that. You'd be doing it with like mundane tasks. But when you're stuck on a ship, you don't necessarily have that luxury of being able to go and go to Sainsbury's. Do you know what I mean?
You have to find people that you don't mind being around 24/7.
Yeah.
And like finding different series to watch and stuff. So you just have to try and find things to do. Like I've never read so many books as I have on this ship. I read so many because it was just such a good way to like pass the time.
Mm-hmm. It's intellectual as well, Laura.
Yeah, I'm so smart now.
This is so clever. On the ship, did you have any other duties? Because sometimes that's a thing, but I don't know if it is actually a thing on all ships.
So I was quite lucky because of the role that I played. The only other thing I really had to do was drill, which everyone has to do, and muster, which basically is every 3 Miami days. So we docked in Miami, and that's when guests would come on and off. So every 3 Miami days, I would just have to like scan people in to their stations when they come on the boat. So that would be like 2 hours on that day. But other than that, like, I didn't really have to do anything.
That's nice.
People in the ensemble, they have to like spotlight like the ice show and help dress the ice show because there's like an ice skating show on board. And they have different like duties they have to do. But because I played Sandy, I didn't really have to do anything else, which was quite nice.
The choice of being a principal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite good on a cruise ship. You get quite a lot of perks.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
So the theatre where you performed Grease, was it like a normal theatre? Was it kind of how every other theatre is? Or was there differences in it because it was on a cruise ship?
So the theatre itself is pretty similar to any other theatre. Like it looks the same. And there was a lot of seats. Like, it was a really nice theatre, actually. The difference is, like, there's so many shows that go on in the theatre. It's not just Grease.
Yeah.
So it'll be, like, the comedy shows, the headliner acts, the production show. So yeah, there's a lot of shows, and also the big thing that I was quite shocked at is like the etiquette in the theatre, because when you're cruising, like you can do anything you want, like you can bring like babies into the theatre, like so we'd have like screaming children during the show, or they're like you can film, so there would just be cameras on you like all the time. You can eat anything, so the etiquette is very different.
That's interesting.
To London, and like I got used to it, but at the start I thought this is so weird, like because I just wasn't used to it at all.
No, it would throw me off because it's a bit bizarre.
Yeah, it was weird at the start, definitely. But then you do it's like anything, you just get used to it.
When you're trying to sing There's a Crying Child, that would, I mean, not that I do it, but that would
Yeah.
bother me at first.
It wasn't ideal.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, but...
And with it being at sea, this sounds like a really stupid question, but I don't think it is. Do you feel the movement of the ship when you're doing the show? Or not really?
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
It depends on the weather. Like, there's times where I literally just, like, forget I'm on the ship. But there were times when you can literally feel it. And, like, the curtain would be down and it literally visibly be, like, swaying behind you.
No, thank you.
And there's, like, times where I had to, like, stand on, like, the picnic tables or something. And people were holding my ankles, like, just in case.
Oh, my
like,
God.
Or, like, you'd go backstage and, like, our costumes would just be swaying, like, on the rails. Like, it was crazy. Like, you could definitely feel it.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and, like, there'd be times when it would be like, is the show going to get cancelled tonight because of how bad it is? But it never did. But, yeah, you can definitely feel it.
Oh, my God. Did you have any memorable bad sea days? Were there ones that stood out for you across the...
There was
Cool. Not to scare anyone, but, you know...
There was only a couple where I actually felt a bit sick from.
Okay.
On big ships, I don't really get seasick. It's only on little boats that I do. So they were quite bad. And there was one night, it was near where we were leaving actually, and we were all just on back deck. And like the boat would just like suddenly drop and then like come back up and then like drop. And it was like, what is going on? It literally felt like we were about to like sink, and we were like, oh my God, what is happening? But from other things that I've heard, it wasn't actually too bad when I was on it. Like, we never had like really bad storms or anything.
Okay.
Which I was quite lucky, like, because I couldn't imagine being in like really bad weather. Like, it would have been terrifying.
It would be, but they're so... Those ships are so robust, and they're so, compared to, like, obviously...
Yeah.
I think everyone thinks for the Titanic... People don't think of the Titanic, but I think people think that something awful like that's going to happen. But they're so, like, technologically advanced now. They're fine. You've got to trust them, I guess.
They're so well kept. Like, nothing's going to happen. But at some points, you're like, oh God, am I going to...
Is this it?
Have to get my life jacket in a minute. Like, it is scary.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't actually too bad when I was on.
So have you done cruise ships as a passenger prior to this?
No, I've never been on a cruise ship before.
Oh, okay.
So it was completely all new to me. And I think that's why maybe it never really crossed my mind to do one, because like me and my family, we've never done cruise ship holidays. So they've never really been on my radar.
Yeah. And they're expensive as well. They're not a cheap holiday. So they're not... Some people go all the times, but they are expensive. So it's nothing... It's something that I've never done or never really had any desire to do. But then it does... Like the Icon of the Seas, that huge new one. I watched a programme about it the other day.
Yeah.
It's just like... How is that floating? How is that not sinking? I don't get it.
It baffles me. Like, I really don't know how it just stays on the water. Like, it's crazy.
Do we sound really stupid right now? Is people going to listen and be like, for God's sake?
Probably.
It's fine. We can deal with it. But yeah, it's just kind of, it does blow my mind that all those people are on a ship in the middle of the sea. It just kind of makes me feel a bit ill. But so you docked in Miami. Where did the ship go? Like, what was the path that the ship would take?
Our itinerary was around the Caribbean.
Nice.
So we stayed down by Miami, really. And the itinerary kind of changed halfway through as well.
Okay.
So we went to, like, Nassau and Jamaica and everything. But then like halfway through we kind of changed to like Mexico. There's also like a private island called Coco Cay, and that's in the Bahamas, and that's Royal Caribbean owns the island.
What?
And we went there a lot.
That's so cool.
So we went to Haiti as well before.
Oh, okay.
But then we had to stop going there because of like the war that was going on there.
Oh God.
So we had to suddenly just stop going there, which was kind of crazy.
And I feel like, do you get to? I know you said you dock, but you don't get to necessarily see much of the country, I guess, because you can't go too far.
No, you wouldn't. I wouldn't suggest going like on a cruise if you want to properly like travel and see places, because there's only so much you can do. There's only so far you can go from the boat in the day. So like I feel like we did quite a lot, but you don't get to see that much, especially if you're only on for like one cruise. Like, because I went to these places a lot, I feel like I got to see a lot.
Yeah. What was like the average? Sorry, I feel like I am just bombarding you with questions, but I guess that's the point of this. But how long would people stay on the ship? What was like? Do you know what like the usual time that people would be on the ship for was?
So our cruises were 4 and 5 days. So a guest would come on for that amount of time. They can do like back-to-back cruises, like when my parents came on and when Dan came on, they did like back-to-back cruises. But then different ships have different itineraries. So like there'll be one cruise ship that the itinerary will be for like 14 days. So it really does just depend on what ship you're on.
And I guess it depends on the size of the ship and the capacity and all that kind of
stuff
it all
depends.
Well. You mentioned Dan there, and I feel like we should explain who Dan is to people who don't know.
Yeah.
Who we're talking
my
about.
Boyfriend.
Yes, and has he just started rehearsals for Book of Mormon, or he's just about to start?
He's in his last week of rehearsals.
Oh my God. Oh, okay.
So he goes to Manchester on Sunday.
Oh, nice. Just as you get back, and he's moving away to Manchester.
I know, it's lovely.
But then he came and visited you quite a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, he came on the ship 4 different times.
Oh, wow.
Which was really nice. Because luckily, because I had my own room and I had like a double bed and everything, I can, like, if you're a featured, you can sign people in to your cabin.
Oh, okay.
And they can stay for $10 a night.
That's nothing.
Yeah, so all he really had to pay for was the flights over, which were expensive. But once he was staying in my room, you literally don't pay for anything, which is really nice.
That's the perks of being the principal again. I didn't realise that there were so many kind of extra things that you get in a way. I didn't know that. I thought it would be the same for everyone. So how many performances did you do of the show whilst you were on the ship?
So we did just over 100 shows of Grease. Okay. We do 2 shows a cruise. So in a 5-day and a 4-day cruise, we do 2 on the same night. So we'd do one at 6 o'clock and one at 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So then every other day I wouldn't do anything, and then I would just do Grease one evening. So it was weird as well, doing nothing and then doing 2 shows back to back.
Yeah, because you're kind of...
So yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it feels a bit like you relax too much, then all of a sudden you've got to do 2 shows in an evening.
Yeah.
That's quite intense.
It's because there's just so much to fit in. Like, there's so much else that happens in the theatre that you just do it one night.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's easier, isn't it, then?
And as well, on other ships that do longer cruises, like if they do like a 2-week cruise, they would obviously do more shows.
Yes, so fair. Would they be sold out when you did it, or would it kind of depend?
Because we're a smaller ship as well, they didn't have to like buy tickets. So on the bigger ships, there'd be like box offices. But yeah, on the smaller ships, you just come in and sit down. And yeah, they'd be pretty much full. every night, which was really nice. And the audiences, because they're on holiday, because they're having a great time, the audiences were really good as well, which was nice.
But it's that kind of show, isn't it? It gets everyone like up and like everyone knows it, so everyone's going to have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
So that helps
Yeah,
as well, I
exactly.
guess. And it's kind of, now that you've done it and done a cruise, would you do another one, or would you be? Are you a bit like, that's it now, I've done it?
So when I was on the ship, I would have been like, I'm not doing this again. Like, this is the only time I'm going to do it. But now that I'm home,
Yeah.
I kind of miss it. So I feel like maybe in like a few years, and I wanted to save a lot of money because like the money is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would do it again in a few years. A different show on a different ship. But yeah, I probably would do it
Yeah.
again.
Change it up a bit.
Yeah.
But with regards to auditioning, obviously theatre is a constant moving thing, and once your contract's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Did you have to do self-tapes, etc., from the ship for anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's quite nice.
Yeah. I literally just didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. She sat and read books.
Yeah.
She read lots of books.
Yeah, literally.
It does. You have intrigued me to try and do a cruise ship, because I think it's kind of, it is one of those things where people, you either love it or you hate it, but some people go all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like their regular holiday.
Yeah.
And that kind of blows my mind, because it's just, I couldn't afford to do it, I don't think. But I am intrigued, and I'd just quite like to see how it all kind of works. I don't think I could work on a ship.
Yeah.
I think I could only go and visit.
It's a completely
It'd be
different
too much otherwise.
thing. Like, it's a completely different type of holiday. And like, I'd love to just go on one for a little holiday now that I've worked on one.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It was such an amazing experience. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so, like, because I was so worried that I was going to regret it, being away from home for a year, being away from the industry, because you are separated from it. And it was like my first year from graduating. Mm-hmm. But no, I'm so glad I did it. It was amazing.
So, in the future, Lauren, are there any parts that you are desperate to play? Is there anything on your bucket list that at some point in your career you're like, I must play that part? Or what's the situation?
That's a really hard question. I don't know. I mean, the one thing that comes to my mind that I would love to play is Anna in Frozen, because I just think she's amazing.
Okay, yeah.
I would also like to play Sophie in Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
I'd love to play her as well, because I just think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two that like come to my mind straight
The
away.
ones that spring there. Well, one day maybe, you never know, Lauren.
Yeah.
Whatever happens
Maybe.
next. Maybe we'll do Mamma Mia on a cruise. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
But you never know. You're a jerk. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on for a chat. It's been lovely to have a natter about your cruise ship life. It's fascinating. It's interesting.
Thank you for having me.
That's all right. Right, well, thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you.